Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the Lost Boys, and I'll talk a little bit about the palettes that I used. I did film using these and I just wasn't happy with the commentary and the footage, so I decided to delete it and just re-record a little bit. The Lost Boys celebrated their 32nd anniversary not that long ago, so I wanted to do a video. This is like the third time of me filming this. The first time I wanted to have the movie playing and then me down in the bottom, and I just don't have the memory storage to film the whole movie. I'm going to try and upgrade that next month. So I did delete that, start over, and I wasn't really happy. I was struggling with the palettes, so I don't know, I wasn't 100% happy with the commentary. I think because I was focusing on the eye look, and I think I'm going to fiddle around with this a little bit because I'm still not 100% happy with this, but I figured I would refilm it. We can talk about the movie. Like I said, they celebrated their 32nd anniversary not that long ago. It's one of my favorite movies, probably top 5 favorite movies. So I wanted to do a little tribute. This isn't so much a review as just a discussion of the film, and so it's not going to be a complete look like my other reviews because I already did this look, but I am going to play around with it a little bit because it's not as sparkly as I would like. And yeah, so we're just going to get into it. Please take a moment, hit that subscribe button down below. It means a lot to me, helps me out a lot. And yeah, we're just going to get into it. So like I said, normally I do a whole eye look while I'm talking about the films. I filmed it and I feel like I wasn't talking very much because I was focusing on the eyeshadow and I don't really like it still. I'm still not happy with it. So I'll still play around with it, so there'll still be that content in here, but it's not going to be full like eye look. The palettes I used, I did use Blood Sugar. There's not as many reds in here as you would think looking at the outside of the palette. There's like 3. 1, 2, 3 true reds in here. Which, yeah, again, looking on the outside, you would think there would be more. And for somebody that like wanted this palette for a year, and then when I got it, I was like, it's not the colors that I thought. Not observant. So I did pull from Jawbreaker because there's that red down there and a couple of reds over here. So I used both of those to do this. But like I said, the lid's not as sparkly as I would have liked. I like glitter, so I don't know. Could put some Stila glitter on it. So yeah, like I said, the Lost Boys celebrated their 32nd anniversary, which is crazy to me to think about. But, and fun fact, the Lost Boys was the first horror movie I ever saw. My dad let me watch it. I was like 3.5, and I remember it very vividly. It was the part in the middle where Michael finds out that they're vampires, you know, the big reveal scene in the middle of the movie, and they kill the surfers, and that's when my mom walked in. It's like, what are you letting her watch? You know, she's too little. And my dad was like, oh, it's fine. And that's what started me down this path. And then as I got older and older, you know, my dad let me watch more and more horror films. So this is really probably the movie that started it all, as far as horror movies are concerned. So that is probably part of the reason it's held such a nostalgia for me. I did get to go to a signing, and it was when Corey Haim was still alive. It was when I was living in San Diego. Corey Haim was there. The guy that plays Laddie, the little boy, was there. G. Tom Mack, who does Cry Little Sister on the soundtrack, was there. The guy that plays, I think his name is Paul. He's the other blonde vampire, the one with the long hair. He was there. And fun fact, he was actually supposed to play the lead, the Kiefer Sutherland character, because originally Kiefer Sutherland wasn't going to do it. And then he decided I don't know if it was a conflict or he wasn't sure he wanted to make it. He was available and decided he was going to do the film. So then that guy was recast, or not necessarily recast, but stepped down because he had said in an interview that he already had the extensions in, so he still wanted to do the movie. He just lost all of his lines. which he does still have some speaking parts, but obviously not as many as Kiefer Sutherland. And he actually was Corey Haim's manager for a while in the 90s. I don't know for how long. He passed away. He's no longer alive either. He had some sort of medical condition, and so yeah, he passed away in 2015. Corey Haim is no longer alive either, if you weren't aware. He passed away also, which was very, very sad. When I got to meet him, I want to say it was like 6 or 7 months before he passed away. So that is a memory that I will cherish forever. If I can find the photo, I will put it in the thumbnail of this video in the corner so you can see that. I was like 26 at the time, so it was a while ago, but super nice guy. Everybody there was very, very nice. I talked to Chance Corbett for a while. He's close to my age. Like I said, he was 10, so I mean, he's older than I am, but if I was only like 3, he was 10, but closer to my age than like Corey Haim and the other guys. But I talked to him for a while. They're all very, very nice. They said it was a lot of fun making the movie. If you read Corey Feldman's book, there was some trauma that happened with Corey Haim on set, not necessarily on set, but during production. So that kind of was sad to learn about later. But it's one of those movies that I think has really stood the test of time. It's developed such a huge cult following. People are obsessed with it. I know I still am. I don't know how many times I've seen it. I could probably recite the entire film. I won't. I'll spare you that. But I love the grandfather. His character is one of those where, you know, he plays the old guy and you think he doesn't know what's going on. Then you find out he did know and just wasn't getting involved, which is funny to me. I don't think I'm going to put any glitter on because I'm probably going to end up taking this off afterwards, but I will turn my overhead light on so it's not quite so blaring because we're just going to be talking about the movie the rest of the time. But it's got some really iconic scenes. There's a lot of little one-liners that I see on t-shirts all the time still from that film. There was a 4-issue comic book series that came out before the sequel. And then I think they did a longer comic book series, if I am correct. I know the 4-issue one that was supposed to be the bridge between the original and the sequel was done by Dark Horse. I don't know who did the other comic books, but I was watching an interview and it looks like they did more than just 4 issues, more of a continuation. And if you haven't seen the sequel, it upsets fans a lot because it's not a good sequel. If you view it as a standalone film, it's not bad. It's pretty much, they took the original movie and modernized it slightly and used different actors. I will say, Kiefer Sutherland's younger brother, Angus, I think is his first name, plays the lead vampire in the sequel. If you didn't realize, yeah, that's his younger brother. And like I said, it's not badly cast. Corey Feldman's acting is just all right. And I don't necessarily think it's that he's a bad actor. They were having him play an adult 16-year-old version of his character from the first movie, and it just came across a little bit odd because people are not going to stay exactly the same, and so they didn't really want his character's personality to age or progress. They wanted him to be the same character, but he's in his 40s. So it just comes across as a little odd, but I don't think it's necessarily that he's a bad actor. I think that was just the direction they had him take it, and it, like I said, just comes out a little bit strange. I will say, like, I know it was a popular movie when it came out. I think the sales were good, but it's interesting that it didn't catapult a lot of people's careers. I mean, Kiefer Sutherland, I think, would have became a fairly well-known actor without it. I don't necessarily think The Lost Boys hurt him at all, but I don't think it necessarily helped him either. And it is the movie that catapulted the two Coreys, so it did jumpstart them. But, you know, after the 90s, mid-90s, their careers kind of went down. Jamison Newlander, who plays the other Frog brother, had a small part in the Blob remake that they did in the 80s. And that was about it. He didn't really do anything else. So being in this film I wouldn't say didn't help him any. And it's surprising because of how popular it is. But like I said, I don't know if it was insanely popular in the 80s and 90s, but it is one of those movies that's developed a cult following now. So it may have been a gradual progression thing, but I would be curious how many other people love it as much as I do. Leave me those comments down below. This, like I said, is going to be a shorter discussion just because I didn't do a whole eye look. Again, I'm not super happy with how this turned out. Like, it's fine, but no, definitely not as sparkly as I would like it. So I'll have to play around with some more red looks later. But I did want to get a film out on The Lost Boys because, again, they did have their anniversary. It is such an iconic film. It's one of my favorites. Like I said, it's not a long movie. It's about an hour and a half. It is on Netflix periodically. It's not on there currently, but it is one that Netflix brings back a lot. And they have had The Tribe, which is the sequel. And again, like I said, if you haven't seen it, it's worth watching. Like I said, it's not a bad movie, but it's not a good sequel, if that makes sense. And yeah, another fun fact is that Alex Winter is in The Lost Boys. He plays Marco. He was Bill in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. And I'm sure being in The Lost Boys helped his resume, but most people don't even know that he was in that movie. His part is so small. He has very little dialogue. It's kind of in the background in the scenes that he's in. Most people, like I said, didn't even realize he was in that movie. It was years and years later before I even was like, oh, is that the guy that from Bill and Ted's? It is. He's a director now. He directs and produces documentaries and music videos and things like that. But he still is involved in the film industry. He just doesn't act a whole lot anymore. But The Lost Boys, I think they did a really good job casting it. Originally, it was supposed to be a kids movie, more along the lines of Monster Squad and Goonies. The original director, I think he was involved in E.T., had to back out. And so when Joel Schumacher came on board, he wanted to make the vampires older. That's why the title is the way it is, because they were supposed to be children originally. Like the Frog Brothers were supposed to be like Boy Scouts, and they were all supposed to be around like 10, 12 years old. And so, yeah, like when Joel Schumacher came on and took over the project, he decided to make them older, little more adult. So the Frog Brothers are 15, 16 years old, and the vampires are, 19, 20. But I think it's a better film. Like I said, Monster Squad already exists, so I don't know that we necessarily needed another movie like that, because Monster Squad came out around the same time. I think it came out in 86, 87, so I don't know that we would have needed a juvenile vampire movie at this point. I think Joel Schumacher's direction was on point, and it's a very, very good film. So yeah, definitely go check it out if you have not ever seen it. It's worth watching. I love it. Leave me comments down below. Let me know your favorite characters, favorite scenes, if you just like the movie in general. Again, please take a moment, hit that subscribe button. Next review, I will try and do a whole eye look. Like I said, I just wasn't happy with how it came out, so I just scrapped the footage and started over. But I did still want to get a video out. So thank you guys for tuning in and watching. And yeah, please subscribe, and I'll see everybody in my next video. Bye, guys.